Hello and welcome. So today we are going to talk about detoxing, and I am going to share a little bit about my journey, the products I've been using, and try and answer as many questions as I can think of. I've had a few come through from different people, and we'll just get cracked into it, okay? So if you have any further questions, please feel free to reach out. You can comment below, you can email me, find me on Facebook, any of those things. There is no question when it comes to detoxing. Too weird, wonderful. And yeah, it's one of those things we get kind of like personal, intimate with some of the things that people don't always talk about. So that's why we're here today. So if you have followed me at all, some of my journey, you will know that I have been sort of struggling with my health, and it was originally my weight for over 20 years. I remember I first went to a doctor maybe 20 something years ago. He thought I had IBS and suggested some peppermint oil capsules, and that was it. That was the end of any kind of solution that I was able to get. Over the years, obviously, I continued to ask more questions. My health got worse. But I also was drinking heavily through my 20s. And I did kind of everything wrong that you can sort of imagine that would fill up my bucket. And I like to think of your body as a giant bucket, and it's able to hold a certain amount of toxins before it floods over. Now, as your bucket fills up with toxins, and we'll talk a little bit about where they all come from, you don't really notice at the beginning. Most people don't. I knew in my body that there was something not quite right, but I didn't know what it was, and I wasn't going to get much more of an answer from a doctor in Scotland 20 years ago. So um, imagine that you have this bucket and we fill it up with toxins. Now, a lot of these happen, some of them we know about. I already mentioned I drank a lot in my 20s. So obviously that's going to be filling my bucket. But there are a whole host of other things that we don't even know often until we do know, until we realize that are filling up this bucket as well. So for instance, as a child, I was not breastfed. So that would be the number one thing. You also inherit, babies are now born with hundreds, if not thousands, of toxins, different toxins, plastics, all sorts of things in their little tiny brand new baby bodies, because they are absorbing a lot of the stuff that is in the mother. So really important for fertility, this stuff as well, and not just for yourself, but for your newborn baby. So you can be born with a whole ton of toxins. Then if I was born in the 80s, the early 80s, I'm 42 now. We ate the standard UK diet, Heinz baked beans, spaghetti on toast, loads of chocolate, fizzy drinks, not as much as some of my friends, but we did sometimes have fizzy drinks, and all the other crap we eat in the UK. We didn't grow our own fruit and vegetables, so we're also consuming obviously a whole bunch of toxins through pesticides and all that kind of stuff, and preservatives in our food. Let's see, little Joe had all sorts of things. I had a ton of fillings in my teeth. I had fillings in my first set, my baby teeth. And then I had, when they all fell out, I had fillings in my adult teeth. I had the amalgam silver mercury ones. I've since had all of them removed. I then had my wisdom teeth taken out. So that might sound a bit strange, but it actually can have a major impact on your health. I have a whole theory. They always whip all these things out. They just think you don't need them and they just whip them out. But in fact, you do sometimes need these things. And I think my wisdom teeth were taken without ever really causing me any harm or problems. They weren't moving. They just took them out more as a precaution. So that can cause problems to your fight flight mode, which we're going to talk a little bit about more later. It sort of flips you into your sympathetic nervous system. So it's almost like your fight flight switch won't turn off without your wisdom teeth. So quite an interesting one. So obviously over the years, these things are stacking up. My little bucket is filling up, and my health was okay. I was an active child. We did love running around. We did love sports, played tennis, did all the athletics at school. So we're very active. But our toxin bucket was still filling up with all the things. So then as you grow up, obviously eating horrendous food at university, didn't do any drugs at uni, but we drank ourselves stupid. So we drank a lot of alcohol. And then just as a sort of result of our environment, obviously, there are toxins in our clothing, in sort of the cheap clothing you buy. They're all covered in formaldehyde, and polyester has microplastics. So our bodies are just filling up with toxins all the time. Let's see, what else did I have going on? I went on holiday and took tons of malaria tablets. I would never do that again. I also had all of my childhood immunizations. I had my all my travel ones just before I hit 30. I decided I was doing this big world tour, and I thought I better go and get all of those. So that was all multiple hepatitis ones and tetanus and God knows what else. I remember going back from multiple appointments, so I had all of that in my body going on. Anyway, a lot of things, right? And so all of this stuff was filling my bucket. And while I was still able to function, and have a job and all this kind of stuff, I was struggling with my energy levels. My weight obviously has been up and down. I've always had these crazy bags under my eyes, really dark circles. Different sort of skin things going on over the years. And I had chronic constipation in my 20s as well. That was one of the other signs. And so really on my journey back to health has led me down the path to discovering some of this stuff. And so when I first started, I started with, as like most people do, taking some vitamins, some supplements, trying to lose weight, just by, exercising like a crazy lady, and eating less, which is the usual advice. And while that can work sometimes, or sometimes short term, it certainly wasn't a long-term solution for me. So it wasn't until I was hitting basically right on my 30th birthday. I was actually fasting on my 30th birthday. I took myself off to Thailand to do a 10-day fast, a detox. And actually, I was joking to some of my friends. I was off to rehab, and they were like, "That's probably a really good thing for you." And I was like, "No, I'm not going to rehab. I'm actually going to detox." But to them, obviously, the amount of alcohol we consumed in our 20s, me going to rehab might not have been a bad idea. So off I went to Thailand and did my first detox. Felt fantastic afterwards, but it was also a trip to Thailand, 10 days on really hectic, heavy herbs, drinking all these potions, doing 2 colonics a day, and a whole host of other things, trying to figure out and sort out my body. And it was also in Thailand that I realized the harm that immunizations can cause, and what heavy metals were doing in my body. And I had some really like major awakenings there, about what I had done to my body, what was in my body, and how I had to get it out. And it wasn't until a lot later in my 20s I got a root canal put in. I've had that removed, so I actually have a gap up here, because root canals are a massive cause of issues in our health as well. So if you're interested in that, if you have a root canal, go and watch the documentary Root Cause. They did studies, and I think it was 97 or 98% of women with breast cancer had it in the same side that their root canal was on. So, having a dead tooth in there can cause you to have underlying infections in your body, and the fastest place for your body to try and fight it is to send it to the lymph through your lymph system to clear out your system, and your closest big lymph is under your armpit, right next to your boob. So where is the toxin coming? You know, if you're infected, it's going straight in there and accumulating, and that is what creates things like breast cancer. So this stuff is unbelievably pervasive in our bodies. I had to really fight my dentist to get that taken out. They said it was fine. It wasn't. When it came out, it was black and infected, and my intuition knew. And I'm really glad that I advocated for myself and I made those decisions. So a lot of this is, it's not to scare you, it's not to worry you, but it is to say that you know, we have the power to heal ourselves. We you know, we can fill up this toxin bucket, and it's often once we hit, you know, our late 30s, early 40s, our bodies start to change, especially if you're female. Our hormone imbalances can really be kicked up. I actually thought I was starting to go through early menopause at one point. I thought, I was like, is this happening to me already? And I really didn't want to accept that. I thought, I was like, that's crazy. I'm too young. I don't know what's happening with my body, but I was having weird hot flushes and my periods were getting a little crazy. So some of the, you know, so I thought it's time to get back on my detoxing path and really do something about my weight, my hormones, and get things in check now, so as I'm really not slammed in a couple of years' time when it really kicks in. So that was part of my motivation. And I can really see a difference in my cycle. I'm back on bang on almost to the minute, my 28-day cycle. Well, that was something else I did to fill my toxin bucket. I was on the pill for 10 years in my 20s. So, you know, as women, we are absolutely bombarded with this stuff. And obviously in the last 20 years, you know, our food has become more modified, more unnatural, all of these kind of things. And as much as we can sort of try and eat as organic and as well as possible, it's not always possible where I'm currently living. It's a fight to find an organic apple. It's almost impossible in my hometown. So it's not always easy to make the best choices, and you sort of do the best with what you have. But our buckets can still fill up. So what we want to do is basically be emptying our buckets, so as our bodies can operate and really function at its best. I believe that, you know, maybe 2 or 3% of illness is truly genetic. The rest is caused by lifestyle and our environment. I often get a little you know, people are always so shocked when somebody has a diagnosis of something, and I'm like, really, are we really that shocked anymore? We know how they live and how they, you know, and the environment that we all live in. Are we really that surprised anymore that people have got all sorts of diseases and things like that? So I've got to also be really careful with the products I'm going to be sharing with you today. We can't claim that they heal anything. There is no, just with any kind of product, you have to be very careful with your wording. Even though there are miraculous testimonials, I feel fabulous. And many people have had significant changes and conditions clear up, let's say. The product does not claim to heal or cure anything or anybody, right? But what we are talking about today is creating an environment where we are emptying our bucket and creating the most beneficial environments in our bodies to facilitate our body's own natural mechanisms to heal and become the healthiest versions of ourselves. And we'll share a bit more about that. So let me just see, I have a few notes down here. So you know, a lot of people, I've had sort of different conversations with people online, and I try really hard not to get into discussions with people, especially ones that don't want to hear about it, you know. And there was one guy basically laughing about the concept of doing a liver or gallbladder flush, and he's like, your liver is clearing out toxins anyway. It can, you know, that's what it's there for. Like, it doesn't need a flush or anything extra. And I kind of feel for him, because in a way he should be right. You know, in an ideal world, he is correct. And maybe 100 years ago, when you know, our grandparents or great grandparents lived and grew up in a very different environment, where they were eating, you know, fresh produce, things that they grew in their gardens, cooking from scratch. There were no microwaves, no plastic microwave meals to be, you know, using or whatever. Maybe their bodies were able to do what they were supposed to, and filter everything that they were supposed to and do the work. But even back then, people still had liver disease from, you know, too much alcohol and all the rest of it. So it's a nice idea that it should just all work. And it will, if we create the right environment for it, and help it a little bit along the way. So and I like to sort of use an analogy of you know, you always take your clothes off before you have a shower, right? So otherwise it's not really going to work. You're not really going to get clean. So I feel like this is really taking our clothes off before we get in the shower, right? We're creating an environment where the thing that's supposed to work works, and instead of it being dulled or hampered by you know, sludge in our livers, in our gallbladders, in our gut and intestinal tract. So let's think of it as emptying our bucket, taking our clothes off, to allow our, you know, our shower or our body to do its work and to function optimally, as it were. So some of the side effects, I'll talk through both of the cleanses that I've done. Some of the major side effects I've experienced have been, one, a massive high after all of them, feeling utterly euphoric and just almost, I've actually never been that high, not through any form of substance, right? Just feeling wonderful, this pure flooding of energy. And I'm like, I actually called a friend. I was like, have you ever felt like this? Is this how people feel like every day? Like, I don't even, like, I couldn't even almost comprehend how good I felt and how much energy I had. My brain fog disappeared like immediately. I felt this tremendous flood of creativity. In the days after each of my cleanses, I have written so much. I've actually written about a quarter of a book as well. So I've been painting. I've been it felt like everything was just sort of unblocked. Another thing, obviously, I've lost weight. I think my eyes look brighter. I think my skin is clearer. You know, my belt has gone in a few notches. My digestion seems to be working better. All of this stuff has been quite miraculous. And another really profound thing that I've felt is, I was always, now you know, obviously we teach what we need to learn, but I've always said to people, look, we need to meditate more. And I truly believe that we find the answers to almost all of our questions, our problems, whatever is going on in the void, which, you know, that nothingness space when you meditate. I was also believe very much in journaling and all of that kind of stuff, but you know, visualizing your future and all of that kind of stuff. Very, very, very powerful stuff. And Dr. Joe Dispenza talks about sort of overcoming the, you know, the you that you are, right? And we can quite often have quite a lot of resistance to getting into that meditative state, right? We know it's so powerful. We know these activities are so important, but for a long time, I very much struggled to really allow myself to fully be calm unless I was in some sort of ceremony or women's circle or plant medicine situation, which I've done a lot of as well. I really felt like it's almost like I needed that medicine to stop me for a moment, to allow me to drop into those deeper levels of meditation and self-awareness and quiet. Not always, but it really, I found it, I think that's why I did so much of that, because I didn't have a choice. The medicine made me sit down, shut up. So what I found after my first my first intestinal cleanse, which we'll talk about, is again immediately. So the next morning, I felt like my whole body just went, oh, like I dropped out of fight flight mode, and I just immediately felt, I suppose, safe in my body. I felt really good and safe in my body, and I was able to immediately go in and do really long meditations, and I've kept that up ever since. I think we sort of discount, our gut is a brain, but it's also a major part of our nervous system. And if our gut is out of balance, then it can cause these sort of anxiety and depression, and not feeling fully safe in your body. And so that feeling, that being able to really drop in, has been quite profound. It's been quite a game changer for me, because I've been able to have these beautiful, much longer meditations, get clearer, feel better. Obviously, I think that also is a way we tap into our creativity more as well. So it's just had this like knock-on effect. I felt like I've been able to come back into my business. I feel like I'm able to hold space for others. I've been doing these live calls again, for this and for other topics, and just feeling like more like myself again, like feeling really back in the game. So that's been fantastic. What else? Yeah, so it's been, so yeah, I really feel like my mood has stabilized as well. In a sense, I know I was holding on to some anger and some other things, and definitely with my gallbladder flush, I feel like a lot of that has just gone. It's just all disappeared. So that is wonderful as well. That's obviously going to have a bigger impact on the rest of my life, and in different ways. So that feels good as well. So yeah, lots of things, and there might be more even that I bring up as we go along, because I'm just thinking of another thing. So another issue that I've had over the years as well, adding to this toxic bucket, is I have had different parasites, which sounds gross, and you're like, ooh, you must be disgusting. But no, 95% of us have parasites. It is not just something you pick up when you are abroad from the water. It is in our food, in our soil. You can get it from your pets. Sushi is like, raw sushi is a major one for parasites. I think one of my my bouts of it, I've traveled extensively through a lot of third world countries, India, Nepal, all around South America, Indonesia, China, you name it, I've been there. So I've done a lot of extensive, crazy travel. And I got really sick in the Galapagos Islands, and I got really sick in Bali, good old Bali belly. So at the time when I got sick in Bali and the Galapagos, I didn't know that maybe at that point I should have taken something in case I did have a parasite. And it wasn't until years later that I really started unraveling and undoing that. And I actually, again, before I knew any better, I started working with a naturopath. Made no difference. We did all the testing. I took the stuff, didn't make any difference. I went to this other specialist guy. He gave me some strong antibiotics. I didn't quite realize at the time how bad they were. And then that didn't work. And so I ended up in hospital having 3 ultra strong strains of antibiotics up my bum, to try and kill these parasites. And then even after that, they did more testing and they found something else. So, I mean, really chronic thing to do to your body. But I felt like it was the only way to get healthy at the time, and I didn't know any better. Had I known about this, oh my God, I would never have touched it. So I've done all sorts of things to try and, bring my body back into balance. And I actually now think that that big dose in hospital of the antibiotics, I mean, God knows what that's done to my body. I dread to think. But that was probably what pushed me ultimately into this major fight flight place that I feel like I'm only just coming back out of. So, we are all different. We all have our own stories. We've all had our own experiences with things. And most of it we do because we think it's for our best. We don't really know any better. I used deodorant with aluminium in it until about 8 years ago. So, I was loading my body obviously with all of these heavy metals, also a ton of mold poisoning just from the some of the places I've lived over the years. So I've had that as well stacking in my system. These parasites that love mold, they love heavy metals. And obviously my system was in a place where they were able to get in and do what they had to do. So this cleanse also helps rid your body of the heavy metals, parasites, etc. So really, really powerful. Right, what else? Okay, so that's kind of the background to this, and I'll talk a little bit now about the specific ones I did, and try and give you as much detail as possible about my experience doing them. As always, though, with any of these things, I really believe that obviously drinking enough really high quality filtered water is one of the best things you can do for your body. I drink Kangen water, highly recommend it. That's just one thing, because if you don't filter your water, your kidneys have to do that work, and we haven't really talked about that yet. So just one more thing before we jump into telling you about these cleanses is, and I think when I'm in this area, when I'm talking about it, when I'm thinking about it, obviously I start to see things and I feel like it's a bit of a theme at the moment. I feel like the world is cottoning on to the fact that you should be doing liver and gallbladder cleanses, and that these things are really important at the moment. So I'm seeing a lot of the sort of health influencer people, biohackers and stuff starting to really talk about this now. I did my first liver gallbladder cleanse back in 2010, doing a different method than the one I'm going to share today. So there are options, right? What I'm sharing is not the only way. It obviously costs money. They're not cheap. It's phenomenal. But if you can't afford it, or you can't afford it yet, there are other options that you can get started with, okay? So I'll share. So if that is you, I totally get it. These things are not cheap. And I am getting a very small affiliate commission, like 5%. It's like $10 on some of these things. It's not like a massive amount of money, but I'm so passionate about it, and I want people to really get well, because I feel like at the moment, with what's going on in our world, that one of the highest acts of rebellion is to be really healthy, right? That's one thing they can't take away from us, right? Is our health. So, well, they can, and they have tried, but we have, that can be something that we can do as much as possible as we can to combat what is being constantly thrown at us in all these other ways. So there are options. So if you, after what we've talked about, if you want to go and do a liver gallbladder cleanse, but you cannot afford it, there is a way you can do it. If you look up Andrea Moritz, the original liver gallbladder cleanse, you can get the stuff together, but it is very harsh. And so what I'm going to be, and it can strip your body, it's very acidic, and it can strip your body of essential minerals and all that kind of stuff. So, but it's also effective. And if that's where you're at, that's the one that I did the first maybe 5 times I did it. Do that, right? So I believe, like, you know, there's a level of this for everybody. You don't have to do the ones I'm suggesting, but I do think they are brilliant. And then there's the sort of obvious other things that I always recommend to people, and you want to do them anyway, and you want to do them before, ideally, you do any of these cleanses. Zencleanz is the one I'm going to be talking about today. So before you detox, you ideally want to have your detox pathways open. If you've ever heard any scary stories about people detoxing, it's usually because their detox pathways have not been open. So that basically means if you are taking something to, and a lot of sort of traditional ways of detoxing or getting rid of parasites is to take really heavy herbs and to kill things. And again, that can have quite a harsh effect in your body. What we're going to be talking about today is enzymes. It's all natural, it's very gentle, and you're much less likely to get a Herx reaction or a sort of a symptom of your detox. So as you're doing any of these things, though, you are stirring things up and you want to get them out of your body as fast as possible. Now, when I was in Thailand, they used to talk about this kind of stuff. If we were not doing, back then we were doing these colonics twice a day, but you were still be having this, some people get spots, or they get a rash on their skin, or they can feel quite nauseous. These are all quite normal things that happen when you're detoxing. Is because your body is trying to get rid of, or it's sort of mobilizing more toxins than you can get rid of. So if you haven't been if you're chronically constipated, you haven't been going to the bathroom, if you haven't been sweating, those are kind of signs that your detox pathways are not open. And if you started, say, doing a parasite cleanse or trying to like kill off stuff without having those evacuation passages available, then you might end up with these kind of Herx reactions, and they really are unpleasant. They make the whole thing less fun and less healing, right? So just as a sort of for anyone, if you want to do any kind of detoxing, get your pathways open. How can you do that? So there's a number of ways. Castor oil packs is one thing. You might have seen some recent videos floating around the internet with Barbara O'Neill talking about castor oil packs. They're very, very effective. I've been doing them and I've really been feeling a difference. They can break up lumps and bumps, fibroids, got liver and gallbladder stones, get your digestive system moving, get you pooping, all that good stuff. So castor oil packs work wonders. You build up slowly over time. I'm now sleeping with one on, not every night, but I've certainly noticed a big difference in that. So an option. Doing at-home enemas with either just with water or coffee, where you stick the tube up your butt, is great. I do them at home. I used to always go for colonics, so full-on colonic irrigation, with a colonic hydrotherapist, but they can be a little pricey. They can be $80 a pop, depending where you are. And you go along, and there's different methods. There's the open and the closed, and sometimes you have somebody with you to sort of talk you through it and do the whole process, and you just lie there. Sometimes you're a bit more involved, but they're great. But again, you have to go somewhere, do the thing, come back, all that kind of stuff. So that's an option, just to get things flowing, get things moving. Or you can do them at home. I have a stainless steel bucket, hook up, lie on a towel on the floor, and do it, and you just jump up and get on the toilet and let it all go. So I quite often do them before I do these ones. The Zencleanz ones. You don't have to, though. They are not required, but if you are really chronically constipated, you might want to think about throwing one in. I tongue scrape twice a day, every day, have done for at least 8 or 9 years. Again, it's just your mouth is connected all the way down to your gut and beyond. And you'll quite often see a lot of toxins coming out of your body. You get a coating on your tongue, especially when you're detoxing. So tongue scraping is great. You want to be sweating. So the different ways that the toxins leave our body, obviously through our urine, through our poop, through sweat, and majorly through our lungs as well. So deep breathing, yogic breathing, that kind of thing is great. If you are not walking or exercising every day, doing yoga, things like that to move your body, get a bit of a sweat going. A sauna is fabulous. I have an infrared sauna blanket again at home. These are things I got when we were sort of in lockdown, pandemic vibes. I was like, I want to detox, but I can't get to my colonic place. Oh, what am I going to do? So I got that home kit. I got that home sauna blanket, that kind of stuff. So I was more in charge of my own ability to be able to do those things without having to go somewhere, go to the sauna place because it was closed, go to whatever. So they're just some things I do. Anyway, I also take magnesium at night. I love magnesium breakthrough. And that just helps for a smooth evacuation of things in the morning as well. So there are definitely things you can do. You could just do those and you will feel a lot better because things are just moving, but they are just starting to take your clothes off, right? Sorry for the visual every time. The other great thing you can do is just fast. Just fast. Keep it really simple. Build up intermittent fasting along with Zencleanz and this other stuff is really powerful as well. I lost a lot of weight last year doing intermittent fasting. So definitely consider that, consider adding it on. Something you can build up to. Somebody I love that you can look up for that is Dr. Mandy Peltz, Pelz, I think, or TZ. Anyway, you'll find her. Mandy. Anyway, Mindy Peltz, I think. She's great. She talks all about it. And you can do that as well. It takes about 17 hours. After 13 hours, benefits kick in. After 17 hours, autophagy starts. At 24 hours, your gut starts to heal. And at 36 hours, you can start to get some weight loss benefits. But from fasting alone, while it's great, you still aren't getting a big cleanse of your liver and gallbladder. You're still not going to get the mucoid plaque out that we're going to talk about. So while it makes a great difference, I still don't think it's fully taking your clothes off. All right. So I think combined with what we're going to talk about today, is brilliant. So, but I always want to give you options. I don't want you to feel like if you can't afford to do Zencleanz, then you can't do anything or you're out of options. I want you to know that there are different things you can start doing and taking control of your health and your happiness and all of that good stuff. So, okay, I'm going to talk a little bit more. Oh, I know what I was going to say. So the other thing I was going to say was we're going to talk about obviously the colon and then liver gallbladder specifically today. Recently, I've had people in my sphere, these influencers starting to talk about it. But on the other extreme of that are the influencers who are talking about getting their gallbladders removed. So there is one lady I've actually met her many years ago in Sydney, the very beginning of my business journey. She ran one of the biggest magazines sort of for female entrepreneurs, and they invited me to this awards night and it was all fabulous. Anyway, so I've sort of followed her a little bit. She's got about, I don't know, 1 million children. I don't know, 6 or 7 maybe, tons of kids. And she's probably about 50. So you might know who I'm talking about. But I saw a picture of her on Instagram or whatever flash up of her in a hospital bed, and it was like, had my pesky gallbladder removed, that pesky organ, her gallbladder, in and out in 12 hours, whatever, no bother, I can't remember. Anyway, it's sort of, to me, a bit gung-ho, a bit naive, a bit like, oh, I have a problem, let me just go to a doctor, and they don't have any of these natural solutions, so they're just going to be like, take it out, we'll cut it out, you've got a problem, it'll be fine, you can live without it. But a gallbladder actually does have a function, and for a young mum with a ton of kids, uh, that's a big risk to take, right? It's a risk having a big operation. It's a risk, the side effects, because your gallbladder like produces, or your liver produces the bile for the gallbladder, but your liver doesn't stop doing that. The bile just drips into your digestive tract instead. And your gallbladder is where all fat is processed in your body. So your body really struggles to process fat. It's got this drip into your systems. You can have chronic diarrhea. There's all sorts of problems come. Like your gallbladder isn't just like there for fun, you know what I mean? Like, and having something like that removed isn't just like you're fine and you're never going to have another side effect. That might be true for some people, but some people really struggle without having their gallbladder. So I hope that's not the case for her at all. But I just thought it was such a sort of cavalier thing to do and say, we're so quick to just whip things out if they're not working, but they actually have a function. Even your tonsils, my sister had her tonsils out, and I'm only now learning recently even, and I've been studying this for a long time, learning that they're actually part of your lymph system, and actually quite a vital part of your lymph system and your immune system. So yeah, I was just like, wow, I'm glad I didn't have mine out. Probably one of the only things that didn't actually happen that could have done. But we're so quick to just whip these things out as soon as there's a problem. I meet another guy in the park when I'm out walking, and he's telling me that he's got to get a kidney removed because he has kidney stones. He's been having some pain, and I just looked at him and I'm like, do you have to? He's like, oh, I'm getting a kidney out this year. I said, really? Do you have to? So, but he's not like maybe thinking he's got another option. Again, he's got pain, goes to the doctor goes, oh, got to whip that out. But what if the root cause as to why his kidney has stones hasn't been resolved? So what if the same problem just causes kidney stones in his now only one kidney that's working? What do? Whip that out? No, you can't. You go on dialysis and then end up needing a kidney transplant from somebody, right? Which is another risky big operation. So I'm just like, hold on before you go and get any organ just whipped out your body because you think it's pesky and causing you some pain. I think we get to go, hang on a second, why is it in my body? What is causing that pain? What is the root cause of that? Can I do something towards, reducing these stones in size? And there are other options as well. Something called chanca piedra is literally stone breaker. That's what it's called. There is different things you can take to create a change in your body, apple cider vinegar, things like that, that can start breaking these things up. And you've got to figure out why you have these things in the first place, right? Well, is it your diet? Is it your lifestyle? Is it a buildup of these toxins over the years? Is it your boozing? Like, what is it that's causing, this problem? And also having such congestion in our systems is often the root cause of food intolerances, allergies, eczema, all these other things, right? So where is it coming from? You can solve it by getting to the root of the problem. All right. Really passionate about this. Don't, even if you think you have to have something whipped out, hold your horses for a second. Maybe some of this can help you first, right? Obviously, if your doctor is telling you you're going to die, do what the doctor said. But this is not medical advice. But you can take steps towards you're being your own best health advocate. Ask more questions. Okay. So one second. Okay. This all comes from a place of love, people. I want you to keep your organs. I want you to live a long, happy, wonderful life, right? Isn't that what we all want? So, okay. Let's talk about Zencleanz. I stumbled across it by chance in one of the many health groups I'm in about cleansing something. followed the link and read the testimonials. So I highly suggest you follow my link and read the testimonials for yourself. They are fabulous. Let me read a couple of these for you. The results speak for themselves. As a board certified physician, I absolutely back up the science. This is a great tool to kick out parasites like crazy. The clarity of my eyes cleared in one day. It was unreal. That blew me away, right? It's not just me telling you. Loads and loads and loads of phenomenal testimonials. And a lot of these testimonials are actually from healthy people or people that have been detoxing for years, and until they discovered Zencleanz and these enzymes, they were really just not quite scratching the surface. They weren't taking their clothes off before they were doing the thing, right? So it really is having a massive impact for people, and a lot of naturopaths, nutritionists, all, like really like natural health doctors. I'm a certified health coach, but they're starting to add it into their protocols with their clients. They're like, I've never experienced anything like this, and so they're bringing it into their practices as a first port of call. So I really do love that. And I have seen so many people myself looking for answers over the years and spent, I mean, I don't even want to know how much money I've spent, probably close to 100 grand trying to get answers to all of this stuff. The specialist testing, the next thing, the next tests, the supplements, the everything, right? Ridiculous amounts of money over the years, right? Going to Thailand, doing these big long cleanses, all this kind of stuff, you know, flights, accommodation, it all adds up, right? It's a humongous amount of money to try and get answers for your health. So what Zencleanz is doing is revolutionary in a number of ways. So it works with a whole bunch of enzymes that have been, which are just all natural fruit and veg that are fermented for 3 years with Tibetan monks and music and things praying over them for that entire period of time. So this stuff is high vibe, wonderful stuff you're putting in your body. Enzymes are the live bits. They are electricity. They are what is the thing he calls it? Your currency, your highly active currency in your body. So enzymes are life, and our enzyme intake is a lot lower than it used to be. The enzymes in our body lower than they used to be, right? Just from living in this world, you know, being surrounded by things like Wi-Fi, you know, whatever they spray in the sky, all that stuff, right? Our enzymes, you cannot, it's very difficult to consume enough unless you are all raw all the time, or, you know, all raw organic all the time. Maybe you'd get close. But even then, that's very hard to achieve and not, in my opinion, much of a life. So, you know, I don't want to be that strict. I don't want to live that kind of crazy level of life, right? I want to still enjoy my food and what I eat, but I want to be able to digest it, and I want to be able to absorb the nutrients, right? Because a lot of what we're going to talk about has been blocking that, right? Clothes on. So we want to be taking them off. So these enzymes are really beautiful. They come in little sachets and also in bottles. So liquid and powder form. You either add a little bit of warm water to them, not boiling, and drink them over the course of a day. And that is the same for both of the ones we'll talk about. And then you also drink the enzymes as well. They're not disgusting. It's kind of, I feel like they taste kind of a little bit like kind of slightly, they're not milk, but they're slightly kind of like vaguely fruity, a little bit balsamic-y, vinegary, strawberry, pineapple, figgy kind of vibes. So it's not, I've had some disgusting stuff. This is not in that realm. You can get it down. So it's not gross, and it's very effective. And obviously enzymes being alive, you're putting good things into your body. It's very safe. It's safe for children. Kids over 3 can start with some of the enzymes. and children over the age of 8 can start with the full cleanses. Can be a lot for their wee bodies, so you can sort of build them up with other things first. But yeah, very safe. It's not going to impact on any other things that you're taking, any kind of medications, because this is just fruit and veggies, basically, that have been fermented to be their most active, energetic healing selves. So really very few, no side effects, no kind of contradictions. The only thing you have to be aware of is if you were maybe, you wouldn't do the cleanse while you were pregnant or breastfeeding, but you can take some of the different enzymes during that period. Yeah, just make sure you get, there's a frequently asked questions on the website. Make sure you either do that or ask me or ask the team for some help in navigating that. But you know, there are options, and it's very, very healthy and safe for everybody. So and the other thing is, you know, like I've been saying, I've done a lot of different things with different herbs and things. It's all very gentle on your body. There's no it's not taking anything from your body. It is gently making you more alkaline, more alive, and helping cleanse your body. So really, really beautiful stuff. You can just feel it when you're taking it, that it's adding to you and making you no longer be a host to those murky, gross things, like parasites that would want to be in your body. So instead of trying to kill them and then get rid of them, we are creating our body to be the most healthy, vibrant, amazing place that is no longer the host for things like parasites, so they don't want to live there anymore. So it's a nice, slightly different way of approaching things. Because you always, if you are doing a parasite cleanse in the sort of older traditional way, call it kill, bind, sweat, or kill it, you kill it, you get rid of it, and then you have to restore your gut afterwards. So instead of having to sort of do something harsh and then restore myself afterwards, this is just restoring you first, and the stuff leaves because you're too healthy and alkaline to be a host for that stuff going forward. So again, that approach being very different is one of the many things that makes Zencleanz so different. The other thing is you will go, like I talked about with water or fasting, and your body going into autophagy after certain amounts of hours. Autophagy basically in Greek, I think, means self-eating, which sounds pretty gross, but it's self-healing, right? Your body getting rid of the stuff that you know you don't need anymore, right? The sort of dead cells, broken things, all that kind of jazz. So but getting into that state and staying there through water fasting is quite hard for some people, and it's intense. With Zencleanz and the enzymes, you can get into an autophagic state without strictly water fasting. So, you know, when you are going through these processes, you are consuming, obviously, the enzymes. They have got calories, they've got vitamins, they've got nutrients, they've got minerals. So you're not, you're getting the autophagic, whatever the word is, benefits, but you're not doing it by sort of starving yourself. So I think, and for me, I've had more benefits from Zencleanz than I did doing my 10-day fast in Thailand kind of idea. And that was with the harsh chemicals. And so what I could do in one day at home on the weekend has been more beneficial to me than flying to Thailand, doing my thing 10 days. You know, it's creating as much of a benefit, if not more, in a much shorter amount of time, without having to excessively starve myself, right? So magic, right? How good is that? So the first one I did is called the One Cleanse. So it's a digestive intestinal cleanse that you do in one day. So the main aim of the One Cleanse, and it is usually recommended as the first one that you do in the Zencleanz journey. So there are other ones. I'm going to talk about the Forgive, which is the liver, gallbladder, and the one. There is a kidney one, there is a blood and lymph, there is a lungs one. You don't want to start with those, right? So we're starting with the intestinal one. Remember how I talked about the opening up our detox pathways? It's doing that. It's cleansing your digestive tract so as those other ones, when the toxins are clearing and leaving your body, it has an easier way out. So they usually recommend doing that one first, then the liver, gallbladder. In some cases, if you have quite a lot of inflammation or more constipation or something like that, you might want to do the liver, gallbladder first and then go back and do the one cleanse afterwards. But again, speak to somebody either on their website or me, or reach out to figure out which one you do first. But most of the time, you're probably going to do, but we're all different, right? We're all unique. So you might want to do them in the opposite order. Nothing bad's going to happen anyway, either way. But usually that's what happens. So it's a bit like they have a sort of journey that you go on, right? You start with the one, then you do liver, gallbladder, then you go round in a journey, sort of working your way up the body system. And each cleanse, like my intestinal one, still I got some gallstones out. So I know that it's starting to clear and cleanse my liver and gallbladder, even though I'm not specifically working on that, because the enzymes are used throughout our bodies, all of our body systems. So by taking them, I'm going to get benefits elsewhere, even though if I'm not specifically trying to target that first per se. Oh, another random benefit I had was I started having like moles and stuff fall off my back. Really weird. Anyway, that's another story. So so we're talking about the one intestinal cleanse. So the main aim for that is getting out mucoid plaque from your system. Mucoid plaque, if you've never heard of it, look it up. I'll show you a picture. Let me see if I can share my some photos. If you've never seen mucoid plaque, right? If you are really squeamish and you can't bear looking at something, then you're going to want to look away in a minute when I find this photo. But mucoid plaque is basically a buildup of toxins that happens, and it lines your intestines, and it becomes this kind of thick, rubbery rope type thing. It can be different colors in different people. The first time I got any out was I think it was after maybe my second 10-day cleanse with harsh herbs in Thailand. I got some rope out, but I mean, I had worked to get that out, really worked. This is the one day, like I said, taking the sachets, and it comes out like pretty much guaranteed. I was lucky to get that. People were amazed that I even got that after my sort of second 10-day cleanse in Thailand. It doesn't always happen. It doesn't always work like that. So the fact that we are able to get that out in one day is bananas to me. It's phenomenal. So I had a picture lurking. Let me see if I can find it. I'm going to share my screen a second. Okay, so as long as you are not too squeamish, I'm going to show this picture. Now, if I hold shift, I can select multiple pictures. Okay, so these are two pictures of mucoid plaque that I am sharing, okay? And you can see they are not poo, right? They're definitely not poo. But they are almost like the shape of your colon. You know, if you can see it on a screen, it's kind of ribbed. So they are, like I said, like that kind of rubbery, almost like my first one was kind of almost like leather. These were kind of like rubbery, and it's like almost like you can see the shape and the indentations of your intestine. And so that is what came out of me, guys, part of what came out of me doing the one intestinal day cleanse. Okay, so not cute, but I'm rather that was not in my body. So that layer, that mucoid plaque, if it's left there, it putrefies. So it is a buildup of all the toxins that have gone through your system, and it putrefies. It can cause cancers, more digestive issues, all the other stuff. My grandmother, and one of the reasons I'm so passionate with this is my grandmother was actually diagnosed with colon cancer in her 30s. And so I feel like if I had not gotten rid of, over the years, all of this mucoid plaque out of my system, I could well have been following in her footsteps, right? So I am very glad that that is not the case, touch wood, but I'm also going to these lengths to make sure that my system is cleansed and I don't have layers and layers of this stuff built up in me, causing problems further down the line. Now, it is highly unlikely that you don't have any, right? If you, again, have lived on all raw food in off-grid farm since you were born, and you've never had any of the immunization schedule things, and you've never, whatever, right? Like the list goes on. If that's how you've lived, you might not have any, right? If you have lived the standard, modern Western world lifestyle, you will have some, right? So it's very important, I believe, that we get it out of our bodies, and stop it. It also is a host. It's got toxins. It's also where the parasites love. And so yeah, getting that out has been brilliant. So I have done that 1 day cleanse twice. I did it twice first, and I'm going to share my screen again. I'm going to show you what I looked like before I did that. That is my face, guys. I took that the morning before I was about to start the 1 day cleanse. Now, this was in winter. I don't have any makeup on, but I feel like that picture is quite horrendous. Like, you can just see I just don't look well, do I, at all. My eyes are really heavy. My face just looks heavy. I don't think I look well. So that was me before I did any of this stuff, and this is me now, right? Feeling and I think looking a lot fresher and a lot better. So yeah, and a lot more balanced. Like my system is just more in balance. Happy days. So on that 1 day cleanse, you eat a little bit lighter the day before. You don't have to fully fast or do anything like that. You can if you want to. On the day, there are very detailed instructions from the company, with, you take one of these little sachets or one of the drinks basically on the hour, every hour, with a couple of gaps in between up until bedtime. And then you go to bed and wake up the next morning, and your mucoid plaque will probably leave your body. Now, the main thing to think about is not everybody wants to take pictures and put them on the internet of what came out of their body. I understand that. I wouldn't have either had I done it the first time, but we do suggest you get a colander of some sort to put in your toilet bowl to catch it, because you kind of want to see what your hard work has produced. Yeah, like, why not, right? You want to see, like, did actually mucoid plaque come out of me? Like, has something changed? You want to see the evidence, right? Even if you're a bit squeamish, it's so satisfying to see this shit coming out of your body. So literally. So mine didn't come out that following morning. Mine came out the next day, which is quite normal. If your system is a bit slow or sluggish, that can be the case. So don't panic, it's coming. You don't have to do anything fancy. You could do an enema if you really wanted to the following day. I think I did one maybe the day after that, just to make sure it was all out. But it will come out of its own accord when it's good and ready. You don't really have to rush it. So you can do it completely without any colonics, without any enemas or anything like that. It will just come out naturally. I was just getting a bit impatient. All right. The only sort of side effect, kind of thing, not a side effect, but a symptom I had at the time was the day one. By the afternoon, evening, I felt really bloated. Like my belly was like just bloated up with all this stuff in it. I was like, oh, well, I guess it's just working, doing its thing. But I wasn't like in pain. There's no pain passing the mucoid plaque. It just kind of slips out, real easy. You just kind of go, I think that now is the time. Okay. And that's it. So it wasn't like traumatic. It wasn't a big deal. And then you just start eating lightly. You can start with some fruit or some, fruit juice or whatever, have some soup. just, start refeeding yourself quite lightly, and take it easy as you ease back into life. But you might find you don't want the same kind of food you had before. You might want to, make a few changes in your diet as well. So that might happen. Okay, so I think we've talked about most of the things that I felt like happened to me after I did that intestinal cleanse. I came out of fight flight. I felt like I had lost weight because I weighed myself. I think it was about 1.5 kilos in the 2 days, kind of in the process. Obviously, a lot of that was that yucky mucoid plaque. I think my eyes looked clearer pretty instantly. Just some stuff like that. I felt really, really high. My creativity was there. I was writing again. Yeah, felt really fabulous. So I felt so great. I ordered a second one. I did the process again. Very similar experience. Loads more mucoid plaque out. And I felt really good again, really clear-headed. Yeah, felt really good. Lost some weight again. Just feeling fresher, lighter, all that good stuff. So I did 2 of those, and then I felt like I was ready to do the Forgive, which is the liver gallbladder cleanse. It's called Forgive because your liver and gallbladder actually hold on to anger and bitterness and things. All your organs hold on to different things. Your lungs are all about grief. Your heart is obviously about heartache and emotion and things like that. And so different organs hold different things going on. Your kidneys are all about fear. So if you've got an issue with a specific part, you might have an emotional thing going on as well. So I had an awareness of what I had to forgive myself while I was doing my liver gallbladder cleanse. But you might not, but that's okay. But you might have an experience of that. So the liver gallbladder cleanse, again, you don't have to do anything fancy before or afterwards. You could, if you wanted to do an enema. You want to not eat any fats the day before. So sort of lighter foods, salads, fruits, that kind of thing with no fat, just to give your gallbladder a little rest, because it obviously processes the fats in your body. So you want to give it a rest before you do the cleanse the following day. But it's not a big lead up. You don't need, to do tons and tons of stuff, because everything you take on that one day is doing the work, is preparing your body for the cleanse. So again, you get sachets, you get a box with all the instructions, all the stuff. You get some stuff to drink, and again, it's laid out very clearly. 9 a.m., 10 a.m. You just take the stuff, you drink hot water, and that day you get some what they call watery emissions, which can send you to the bathroom, but it is your liver starting to clear things out. And that only happens that day for a few hours as you're going through the sachets on that first day. So you kind of want to be home, pick a weekend that you don't have much on. I just made sure I walked the dog early that day, and was available to be at home, and I basically just read a book, did some stretching, kept it really chill, was near my kettle in the bathroom for that day. So, but it wasn't too bad, it was fine. Then just before you go to bed that night, you get ready for bed, you put your pajamas on, you brush your teeth, and you take the 2 biggest bottles in the pack, you mix them in. I like to use a glass jar with a lid. Mix them in a glass jar with a lid, shake it up really well. And then once you're sitting on the side of your bed, you down that stuff, maybe take a slight sip of water just to rinse your mouth a little bit, but you lie down on your right hand side as quickly as possible. Do not stop, do not pass go, do not go and brush your teeth, do not do anything else. You want to be lying on your right hand side for a minimum of 45 minutes without moving, because that combination of stuff that you've drunk is olive oil and lemon juice, and it is going, so the stuff that you've been having throughout the day, all the sachets, have been softening your gallstones and stuff in your liver, softening it all up and sort of making it mushy, so it's not sore to pass, they don't get stuck or whatever. And the stuff is expanding your bile ducts, so is there space for this stuff to come out. Now it's all soft and mushy, and you take the liquid, and it basically goes in and flushes straight through your liver and gallbladder and brings with it all of the gunk. So gallstones, sludge, parasites. In my case, I had tons of liver flukes come out. And as you lie there for that 45 minutes, longer or all night even, if possible, but minimum 45 minutes, it does the work, and it does this big flush. So and then the next morning, probably the next morning, I think for me it was, no, not the next morning, that one. It's not till usually later in the afternoon or even the following morning, I think it was for me, did I get my liver and gallstones all coming out. Again, I had to trust the process a little bit because I was like, why is this taking longer for me? But that's just my body. It just took a little bit longer. That's okay. Again, you want to just, again, have some fruit, some light stuff after you've had your last drink. That morning, a couple of hours after that, you can start, light broths and soups and things like that. So again, you take it really easy, really gentle as you introduce food back in again. You can continue fasting if you like, all the things. So lots of options. And these are all the kind of questions I'm here to answer for anybody who wants to do this and create a big change in their life. So I'm just going to now share my screen again, and I'm going to show you what came out of me on the Forgive Liver Gallbladder Cleanse. So share my screen again. Now I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that and that. So this is what came out of me. That was the first load of stuff that came out. And there is a 1 penny next to some of those stones to show you the size of them. Now, these are actually, so the gallstones, I don't know if you can see the sort of greeny bits in the middle of that big one at the bottom left. And they're actually covered in fatty deposits. Yuck. So this was what was happening in my gallbladder. All of this stuff was in there. Can you imagine? I mean, how grim. All of that green stuff is sludge, all the stuff. I mean, that is all fatty gallstones, sludge. And that was just the first one. I had about 2 or 3 more of these things after this picture, but I don't want to share all of them. So pretty grim. This is not poo, again, not poo. All gallstones and fatty bile deposits that were in my liver and gallbladder, clogging it up, causing my digestive issues, causing my weight issues, my hormone imbalances, allergies, intolerances, you name it. Your body is not functioning properly if that is stuck inside your liver or your gallbladder. All right. So, I mean, I was blown away by the size of these things. Again, it didn't hurt. It didn't hurt at all. It was just like a normal poo, if not easier, because you've had all the enzymes and everything. But again, I caught it in this colander. I caught it in the basket. And if you can see any hairs on there, they are definitely dog hairs. Okay. But I caught it all in this basket because, again, I wanted to see the results of my hard work, and my God, it is satisfying. So, and I had even more, like I said, come out of that. Lots more tiny little gallstones. And the liver flukes, they look a bit like rolled up tomato skins, right? But they're not, they're liver flukes. So pretty grim stuff. And again, after that, I felt fantastic. I felt really, really, really good. I was bouncing with energy. I felt buzzing. Again, my creativity came back. I did another big bit of writing for this book that I'm doing. I wrote posts. I've been doing calls. I've been feeling fabulous. So knowing that that is not in my body anymore, I feel so much better, and I can't wait to do another one. Right? I did not solve, doing that one flush might have stopped somebody needing to go and get gallbladder surgery, right? I mean, that is a lot of stuff came out, but it's probably not the end of the story, right? I have been abusing my body in all these ways that I did and didn't know for my whole life. So you might have to do a few, you might have to do 2, 5, 10, I don't know what the state of your system is, until you feel like you are complete and done. You can do it over years, you can do them back to back. it's up to you. Everyone is on their own journey. Everyone's body is different, your health is different, your reactions will be different. We're all working with varying degrees of things that we have going on in our lives, right? So it's not necessarily a one and done. You can feel huge amounts better. And once you've sort of maybe done a few, you might move on to a sort of maintenance thing. You might end up doing one of these gallbladder flushes a year, like just to be sure, right? Why not? And then once you've done these and you feel like, okay, like I feel like I've, really supported my liver. I'm really feeling like I felt like I couldn't tolerate alcohol, but I don't know, I've only had one glass of champagne since I did it. But once you feel like you're back on track or wherever you need to be, you might want to consider doing the blood and lymph cleanse. You might want to consider the lungs, the kidney one, whatever is next in your journey. There's a kind of an arc that you go on. You might consider doing one of those, both of those. There's also other supportive enzymes that you can take sort of for maintenance that don't involve like a big cleanse. So you can take them daily to help with digestion, with weight loss, with libido, all sorts of things, with your hormones. So they all clearly say what they help with. And again, you can ask me, you can ask the team what would be the best combination for you if you want to support yourself and your health ongoing. So some great options. I'm on the journey with you. I'm going to do definitely another one of these gallbladder ones next, maybe two more, we'll see, until I really feel like I'm functioning on all cylinders. I've also been taking the black vacuum. So that was to sort of help with weight and to shift fat, and I've seen some Chinese people, like doctors in the past, and like acupuncturists, but Chinese medicine, traditional TCM, traditional Chinese medicine doctors. And they've said I had internal dampness. And so the black vacuum specifically can help clear up some of the internal dampness. And obviously the one day, the intestinal cleanse and all that kind of stuff has also helped clear that dampness as well. So again, whatever your thing is, whatever you're struggling with, will probably, it will be helped by one of the things that these guys have. So, and again, please feel free to reach out to me. The team at Zencleanz is phenomenal as well. They have a really active Telegram group. So obviously you also have really detailed instructions, really detailed frequently asked questions. But beyond that, they have a really active Telegram group. So if I'm in a different time zone or asleep or can't answer your question, stick it in there and it will be answered very quickly. They are very dedicated, very knowledgeable. And sometimes you'll even get the company founder answering your question for you. So yeah, there's just some really beautiful chat going on in there. There's some beautiful testimonials. You can obviously get access to that group when you join. There's a Facebook group. So there's loads of places to get support and help and guidance on your journey. It's all up to you. I'm not really pushing this, or I'm not going to be badgering you to do it in any way. I have tried that with my parents, and trying to, over the years I've bought them vitamins and all these different kind of things, and unless I actually hand it to them with a glass of water, they're not going to take it, basically. So nothing I can do or say can make you do this. Sometimes you're not ready, sometimes I haven't been ready. I find that you will find this at the right time, you will do it at the right time, you will do the next one at the right time, and nothing anyone else can do or say will make that any different. And really, if you're not personally motivated to do it, you won't do it, right? Like these they're only one day, kind of like a weekend, right, for both of them. not like the most fun weekend, right? Like you might feel a bit tired, you might have a headache, you might feel bloated, you've got to take this stuff every hour. It, it's not the, I mean, it's relatively the easy button compared to what we've done to our bodies, right? And it's relatively easy compared to most other detoxes. But you still have to do the damn thing, you know? And I can't force you to do it. And I don't want to force you to do it. And I can't want better results for you than you want for yourself, right? So all of it has to be you ready to take charge, you ready to make a change in your health, you ready to be like, I'm not going through early menopause. I'm ready. I want to balance my hormones. And whatever that is you want for yourself, right? I don't know what your motivation is. Personally, I never want to go to a doctor again. I actually don't see any need to do that unless something is literally hanging off. I don't see myself ever doing that. I don't really, I think there's a natural remedy for pretty much everything. And that's how I want to live, you know? So yeah, that's my aim. Because I just don't think any doctor can offer me a better solution personally than this. They're going to offer me a pill. Is it the root cause? Is it getting to the root cause? Is it helping me get my clothes off before I go in the shower? No, it's not. They're going to offer surgery or a pill to dull the pain, but that's going to have tons of side effects. And it's not getting to the root cause. And then taking whatever pharmaceutical they're offering me, it's probably going to cause more problems down the line. It's going to cause more liver congestion and more liver toxicity and cause me more problems down the line, you know? So yeah, my plan, never go to a doctor again. That's a big thing to say, but that's my goal, my ultimate goal. And I believe our health is our rebellion. And I'm excited for that. All right. Well, thank you so much for being here. If you have made it an hour and 20 odd minutes, I know you want to make a big change in your life. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you listening to me. Please ask any questions. You can email me, joannaturner24@gmail.com, or you can obviously comment, reach out on Facebook, whatever is easiest. Sending you so much love. And yeah, if you have any further questions, anything like that, just let me know, and we'll get you started. Also, I'll put the link to join me in Zencleanz below. And if you have any questions about that, let me know about that too. All right, take care. Speak soon. Bye.